Welcome to the Black Lion Podcast. We are your hosts, Lex and Don. And today we have a special guest. Guest, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Vanessa Jackson, and I am the CEO of Discover the Known LLC. And I'm here to explain a little bit about myself and entrepreneurship life and what it means to me.
That's great. What's the name of your business and why did you start your business?
The name of my business is Discover the Known, and I started my business for profit. It used to be a nonprofit to help out single people in general. I used to want to do like resumes and mimic and duplicate interviews for people that had trouble getting jobs. And so I was going through the whole process with the 503c and looking for, or 501c, I believe it's called, and looking for companies to like help me assist with that. And for some reason, at the time, everything I was going through, I think it was like right before 2020 or approaching 2020, where I couldn't really dive into that as a whole. And plus, I could never really finish it to the point where it was satisfying. So I changed my whole perspective and I geared it towards single parents, and I made a for-profit business that will help specifically single parents in an affordable way when it comes to buying clothes. And I started my embroidery company, which is what it consists of, where I started off with children's clothing and making embroidery designs for children's clothing and making it affordable. But the goal, where you would say, oh, well, why is it for single parents? The goal is to take the profit and create more resources for single parents as well. So you have the affordable side where they can buy things for their children, and then also look into more assistance with thriving as a single parent.
That's good. A lot of people do need that.
Thank you. I'm still, and to this day, trying to think of it all and plug it and direct it to the community the best way I know how.
That's good. What steps did you take to start your business?
So when I decided it was going to be for profit, I went through LegalZoom to start my LLC. And it took less than a month to get me approved. You do have to pay a fee based on the documentation you want included in your business through LegalZoom. So I did pay a fee to have my EIN number and my LLC. And it's optional things that you can throw in there that will make the price go up, such as an agent, certain types of insurances. Or, for example, my company's name is Discover the Known, but I would like it to be known as well as DTK. So then you have to pay for a dual title for your business and so forth and so on. So that legally, if I was to say DTK, I've already paid for it to be known both ways. So there's a lot of steps. If you didn't want to, if you couldn't afford an LLC at firsthand, writing a business plan is also something that people could do, where, say if you're looking for a business loan to get the funding for all of those things, LLC and so forth, or a corporation, you can just write a business plan that has to be at least 30 pages professionally, and get CDIF loans and microloans. Those are ways that I'm going about it now after getting the LLC. But for those people that say, okay, I can't just jump and get an LLC, writing a business plan is free. It's coming from you. It's your ideas. And all you have to do is take that to a lender to gain money to start your business.
That's good. I didn't know that. That's how I know that I just learned.
Yes, there are many investors out there that if you have bad credit, like from the 500s, in between 500s and 600, the CDIF loan is a good way to go. And then if you're like at the start of 600 growing, the microloan is the way to go. But they both fund bad credit, and they both fund startup businesses. So you have to spend money at some point to invest in yourself. I paid for a business plan template to give me an idea of what it looks like, but that whole business plan idea actually comes from you yourself, because it's you trying to persuade somebody why should they loan you the money to start it up. But you can pay for templates to give you an idea of what the outline looks like, and you could also get information, like pay for lists of loaners, lists of lenders, or investment lenders. You can pay for lists of those, of people to reach out to that's beyond your state. So that's another thing I did that I just have waiting for me until I pass a specific point to touch on. But some things can get overwhelming if you try to do it all at once, and you just take it one day. It's imperative you take it one day at a time, because it is hard.
Yes, I understand. From when you first started off up until now, what progress have you seen from yourself and your business?
Okay, so from then to now, I have two machines. I have a sewing machine and an embroidery machine, which was hard to kind of stay on track with, because, like I said, you have to spend money. So the cost of the machine, and I have children, so I have to kind of like decide what comes first. So one goal was I did get an additional machine. Another goal was just staying in a mindset and being consistent. At the beginning, I would just have the ideas in my head, or I may write it down, but I'm starting to put action to it, and day by day make videos to post on my social media and be more consistent with it. I could say that motivation plays a lot into that, and just doing more research. Research is very important, because most things you can't do alone. You need help. So taking business courses and watching the lives of different types of entrepreneurs is something that I stay consistent with as well. So, and also because my business is on Etsy and Shopify, I forgot to send you those links. Staying consistent with updating your web pages if it's online, and if you are selling physically, or you plan to have a store, buying things weekly or monthly in accordance to reaching that goal, and having a vision board as well has helped me a lot.
That's good. Have your friends and family supported you when you first started your business?
I could say, like, because to me, if you tell somebody and they say, okay, that's nice, and they never ask about it again, to me, that's considered like not supportive. So that's the kind of the situation it is with me. And it's like people they just might not know, or my family and friends, to be specific, they probably don't know how to respond to it. Versus if I had already made a huge profit, or was well known, or it's off the ground, so to speak, you may get a different response. But in the beginning phases, and so forth and so on, I don't get a response from family and friends like checking in, like, hey, how's your business going? Or how did you come up with this? Or how can I be of assistance? You need help? Or I don't get any support from anybody.
I understand. You say you started your business pre-pandemic, somewhat, correct?
So it was after the pandemic, so around the time of the pandemic is when I was trying to do nonprofit.
Okay.
But what I have now, I started last year.
Okay.
I started last year. I got my LLC last year in May, and I actually quit my job to start my business.
That's what's up. You fired your boss.
Yes, I quit my job. Call me crazy, but the Holy Spirit told me to quit, because I was in such a turnaround with life, and I just didn't want to settle with what I was doing. I was in the medical field. The job was very good. I had the skin for the job. I knew the job like the back of my hand, but when it came to like purpose in life, I wasn't happy. I was like, is this what I'm just going to do? Like, go to work every day, come home, make sure my kids okay, wake up, do it all over again, or do I want more out of life, like as far as traveling and doing more and educate myself more, or am I going to just sit in this bubble? And because I'm dependent on myself, like I'm not married or anything like that, where it's like putting two heads together about, oh, if we do work these jobs, this will take us here, and then we'll piggyback together on the travel and yearly expenses. But it was just like, if it's just up to me, how would I create a better life for myself and give back to the community? Because I've always wanted to practice philanthropy. So I donate a lot to single parents, and that's one way of promoting my business as well, by making donations. And yeah, that's how that all came about.
Oh, that's what's up. How has COVID affected you and your family?
COVID was pretty bad because I was actually let go of my job in COVID. Um, it was July 24th, 2020 was my last day. And they were trying to navigate where, like I said, I worked in the medical field, but that's not the job I quit from. This job particularly, I was let go. They each department was trying to narrow down one person to a department physically and then try to figure out how everybody else was going to work from home. But when it came to me, it was like, okay, it was something that was inevitable. Like it was going to happen because it was just so weird. Like the way it happened was just so weird and I couldn't make sense of it. So they basically got the people in my department to say certain things that, like, I took all the work, and they just said things like, oh, if I'm talking to her, her back is to me, or if I'm trying to get information from her, they just made it seem like where, and I had
Characters.
just had my review that the beginning of the summer where the review was fine, but it was just like when you don't fit in, people have to make it seem. So I wasn't the type to just be chatty, and like I got along with almost everybody. And then those people that didn't get along with each other that I was along with, it was just kind of like high school. So it was like, okay, so how can we get her out? It really was like high school because I couldn't make sense of it. And I could have sued. I could have sued for my position and everything, and I didn't do that because and I lost my medical insurance. I was pregnant at the time. I lost my medical insurance. Um what they said was the girl in my department that I shared a department with, because it was just a two-person department at the time. She she was basically asked by HR a bunch of questions about how she likes working with me, and she basically told me herself. She said I told them what they wanted to hear, and when I confronted her about it, like, what's the problem? Like, how can we solve what you don't think I, because I was a senior to her as far as the job. She was newer, and I was the one that had to train her everything. But she would be out sometimes, and it would be like, how is her word against my work? So it just, I can't even explain it. It's so weird. So by me confronting her to try to figure out how to work better together, she took that back to HR and said, she said something to me about it. Because when you work in the hospital, that's considered retaliation, I guess. So they called it retaliation. They asked me to go home. And then a week later, I guess they put me on suspension. And a week later, they said my job was gone. So it had nothing to do with my work ethic. It had nothing to do with something I did. So I had to take it as a sign, and it hurted, but I still had to figure out how to feed my kids, my family, my mom. And so I did like work from home jobs, because at that point you couldn't get out easily because of it was COVID. So I had to, by the grace of God, I still live in the same house to this day. That was what, 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. I still live in the same house. And so COVID was bad because I was working up until midsummer. I think COVID happened in April or March. I was working up until midsummer. Then I had to figure it out. And we caught COVID, my household caught COVID in the December of 2020, but other than that, and then my kids was home, so it was just a lot. It was a lot. It was bad. But I definitely didn't have the same business mind that I have now then, because that was just like a whirlwind of like depression and anxiety, trying to figure out everything.
I feel
So just I think that if you don't have God in your life, some of those type of factors, when you do get fired or let go, you can't understand why certain things are happening. If you don't see it as God pushing you into the next dimension, no matter how confusing it might be, you can self-destruct and lose yourself. You really can. I'm glad I didn't. I was on the verge of it, but I'm glad I didn't. And after that, with time, my ideas came along to want better, which ultimately why I think that the working in the medical field kind of traumatized me, because anywhere I went after, like when the world did go open back up and I went back to working in medical, it just it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. So
I feel you. So I know you say you got children. Do you plan on letting your children in on the business?
yes, I do. It's by their choice, obviously, but they're so young right now. They're 2, 3, and 7. And I plan on trying to be I will be the next Target or Walmart someday. So if they want to dive into the administrative or the retail or even the producing of it, sewing or doing embroidery, it will be by choice for them, but I will be happy to have the opportunity to expose them to being some type of business owner if they don't want to join my business as a family.
Oh, that's good. And if you was to give anybody some advice who wanted to start a business, what advice would you give them?
I would say keep your mind focused on the resources, not so much so if you're doing it for profit, if you're doing it because you just want to make money, is not really the best idea to keep in mind when you're trying to do it, because it comes with so many struggles that the failures sometimes outweigh the success. And if you're not willing to go through the failures or the no's before you get that yes, you will kind of self-destruct. So think about, if you want to be an entrepreneur, think about your circle, who you surround yourself with. If you're going to isolate yourself, that's okay too, because the more ideas are birthed out of isolation than being in a large crowd. That makes sense. And then once you have a steady mind about what you want to do, just stay consistent. Just be consistent. I wouldn't say share it with everybody. I wouldn't say that, because people can be discouraging, and you might tell your best friend for years that you've known, and they could say one thing to make you look at them different, but it's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault that don't understand your ideas, your destination. Everybody's different. So you can hold somebody accountable for how they make you feel, but you shouldn't be mad enough to say, the support part of it all. You shouldn't be mad enough to try to understand why somebody doesn't support you. They just might not have the same ambition. So starting off as an entrepreneur, becoming an entrepreneur successfully, all you have to do is stay consistent and be yourself. And keep in mind the end goal that you want to come. Are you helping somebody? Are you giving back to the community? Are you just trying to be known for doing this good work? Because if not, you will lose yourself in the process and you'll be easily discouraged. So keep your main focus in mind. Keep your resources and options open, because sometimes there'll be random things that may make you tweak your business and change your business. But if you have the end goal, that's fine. You can take whatever tweaks and maneuvers you can to say, okay, I'm going to add this in addition to, but it still stands for this thing as a whole. I would say consistency is key. Consistency and prayer is key.
That's true. What 3 things will you improve about your business?
Would I approve about it?
Like improve.
Oh, improve. I would improve. Right now I'm working on sizes, like I'm doing infant toddlers. So I'm working on improving the sizes that I have available for single parents or people in general. I would improve I would improve the expansion of it. Like I said before we talked, I'm still working on my logo. So I would improve getting certain areas done before going to the next thing. My basics. So and that's another thing I can say too, as far as like people that want to be an entrepreneur, jumping all over the place. It could be so in the beginning, but once you have that idea in mind, you narrow it down, you're not going to want to do anything else but to take steps in order. So I can say that I can get better with taking steps in order, because I could work on my business plan one day, and then I'll work on my logo the next, and then I'll work on a new size for the embroidery outfits, where if I could get consistent in one area and then move on to the next area, where I don't have to go back and fix something, and then I'm just driving off of scaling it, then like that's something that I could make improvements on.
That's good. What three things do you want people to know that your business stand for?
Three things I want people to know that my business stands for is making affordable clothing for all ages eventually, especially children. Single parents, I want people to know that it stands for single parents that are trying to make a way, maybe out of no way, and have kids or multiple kids, even just one kid, knowing that you can buy them stuff for less and still be able to pay your bills and not have to have such a hard decision on what comes first, or you can have more money left over for diapers or milk or what so have you. Making people realize that it's not always about the image, that you have to have your kids or yourself in certain types of clothing before you get to where you want to be. Seeking that affordable retail, like, Walmart is cheaper than Target in my idea. Like, helping that resource where you have a store like Target that's great, but their and quality is good, but they're just a little bit more expensive than Walmart, where the quality is also good, but the clothing is affordable. So trying to keep people in that mindset of where if you're in a point in your life where you have to go with what's affordable and to get to what you can't afford, that's very important, because we'll take image and think like, oh, I have to keep up to date with this person or that person, with social media being so big these days. So just trying to keep people on that track, single parents especially, because they can tend to be certain types of people or cultures that think that you have to live on a certain scale to please others. And also, the third thing I would say is just staying in the know of what I have to offer, because eventually it won't be just clothes. It will be goods, things like lunch bags or book bags when it comes to children, school-based things. But that comes with time. So
Yep, that's true. Well, I thank you for allowing me to interview you.
absolutely.
It was a pleasure.